you touched on the surface of mental health, and you had issues outside the ring, and you're glad you cured them, and I think a lot of people listening have those same issues, but like nobody gets help. How did you like solve those problems before? Because I'm in the same situation too, and like I'm diving deep, and like yesterday on the drive down here I had a panic attack, and it's just like I called my therapist, and she's like, dude, you're like so fucking exposed to the roots that like things are starting to come up, and so like just how did you kind of like fix those, and like because you knew you were going to become famous, and so it's like you got to kind of put the cage around the before you blew up.
When I was younger, like it's mad because like even when I was an amateur, I caused a big ruckus. You know what I mean? When I was an amateur, when I was 16, I put a post on Cage Warriors forum, that Cage Warriors big show in the UK and Europe, and they had a forum on there, like the Share Dog one, you know what I mean, years ago. And I put a post on the amateur forum when I was like 4-0, 5-0 amateur, saying, I am the best amateur bantamweight in the country. Does anyone dispute this? So people were putting names on this list. I was just beating them. So from that young age, at like 16, when I put that up, I've started getting used to like getting abuse. You know what I mean? Because like people are like, oh, these shit, this, that, blah, blah. And like this is even like Facebook was going and that. So like obviously it went onto there. And like I built a bit of a reputation when I was an amateur. I went 9-0, and then I went pro, went 3-0 pro, and then got signed to Cage Warriors. Like I went pro when I was 17 because I had no one left to fight. So I was 2-0 by the time I turned 18. Won another fight, got signed to Cage Warriors, and then like I was getting built up then as like a big thing. I won my first Cage Warriors fight, and then I lost my next fight. So obviously my head was a bit shocked then, but I was only a kid, so it was like, oh, it's sound. You know what I mean? I'm only 18. Crack on. Went on a fucking 9-fight win streak, lad. Won the Cage Warriors featherweight belt, and started having to do proper crazy weight cuts. 145's killing me, and I lose a close fight for the belt. After that fight, I didn't fight for like 10 months. I was like, I sulk and flip when I lose a game of cards. You know what I mean? So I'm
always
something I've not prepared for, not put hours and hours of practice into. But if I like losing a fight affects me in a big way. You know what I mean? Like.
So you're saying you won the belt in featherweight?
I won the belt at featherweight and then ended up losing it.
And that's when you
and
didn't
then
fight?
that I didn't fight for 10 months then. But like I didn't get down as bad as I did after the next one. You know what I mean? I was down. I can remember crying a lot then. I'm an emotional guy, lad. I cry.
For sure.
I cry at commercials on the telly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I swear, lad, I'll cry at anything. You know what I mean?
I cry at Cirque du Soleil shows.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I'll cry at and like the Lord will look at me and go, are you crying? I'm like, shut up. You know what I mean? But
I cried during the Notebook a lot.
Yeah, like after the like I lost the featherweight belt, I was like, oh, down in the dumps. Ended up moving up to lightweight. I won by flying triangle. I was like, oh yeah, everything's back. You know what I mean? Everything's back to normal. Everything's back to the way it was. No need to worry anymore. And then my next fight, lad, well, I broke my hand in the lead up to that fight. I broke my scaphoid bone in the lead up to the Savidas fight. Fought, went to America for 4 weeks, trained, come back. I remember my mum and dad reliving the wedding vows and then getting my wrist looked at and them saying, yeah, you've got a broken bone in your hand. And they made me get surgery before my fight. So I had surgery 12 weeks before I fought for the lightweight belt. And I got the wires took out my hand 6 weeks before the fight. And never forget it, them taking the wires out my hand and I'm sitting there going, yeah, I'm fighting in 6 weeks. And they all just went, you know. It's like, I've been training for. And they're like, no, you're not. I was like,
wow,
nah, I am. They brought like 3 doctors in to sit me down and talk to me.
So when you get away, that just doesn't add up to me. 12 weeks, and then you got your wires taken out. The hardware is supposed to be in there for a minimum of an entire year before it comes out, right? Like.
No, with this one, it was just like little wires were in there, and they just like pulled the wires out, so like keeping them in place.
Maybe that's different than hardware that's screwed into bones.
Yeah, no, and then the next time I had bolts the next time, and that was like that one again. No, in the UK was only like 8 weeks, but fucking went into that fight, nearly choked them out in the first round, but because my arm was that weak, I couldn't get the squeeze on the rear naked choke, no, because it just didn't have the strength the other arm did. Fucking. The squeeze, couldn't get it. Next round I hit him, broke my hand, ended up losing a close decision. And then after that fight, lad, Because, like, even though I had a broken hand, lad, I'd put everything into the build-up to it. You know what I mean? I'd train my ass off and that, and I can just remember we went back to, like, the apartment we were staying in, and some of my mates were up partying, you know what I mean, where they'd been up anyway, fucking, and I just went to bed. I'm just sitting there crying. And then I think, nearly every morning for the next 6 weeks or something, I woke up crying. Because the missus would go to work, and when she'd go to work, I'd roll over and just go to sleep, you know what I mean? But after that fight, lad, I'd wake up and it'd just like be like, "What? Yeah, you lost that fight. Your career's over. You're finished." And I'd just start crying.
But you fixed it.
Yeah, they had to. Don't know what I mean? Like, for a few months, I was bad, lad. For a few months.
But how did you fix it?
I don't know that you fix it. I think that
But you had better coping skills.
Yeah, what it was, like, I didn't tell anyone. I thought, oh no, I'm all the macho shit, lad. I'm a fighter. Yeah. I shouldn't have to go to my fiance or my mum or dad or my friends or my teammates. I shouldn't have to put this burden on them. You know what I mean?
So you talked to somebody about it?
So yeah, for about 2 months, I was bad, lad. I was just crying all the time and just never in a good mood, and that's just not me. You know what I mean? I'm not like that. I'm always, even when I'm in a good mood, I've generally got a smile on my face. And
when's the last time you lost a fight?
That fight.
Okay, so we're not necessarily out of the woods.
No, we're not. Like, you never know. But
yeah,
as you say, it was actually speaking to people. Because someone said to me, "Get it off your chest. It helps." I think it was my boxing coach, Chris, actually.
Right.
And, like, he was the first person who I spoke to about it, and then I started speaking to other people, and it was weird. It's literally like someone does pull a fucking 50 kilo weight off your chest.
We're only as sick as our secrets.
Yeah, literally, they drag you down, lad.
Yeah.
They drag you down bad.
Yeah. For sure. Speaking up about stuff that bothers you saves my ass all the time.
Definitely.
Yeah, you don't have to tell, everybody everything, but you should tell one person.
But you absolutely have to tell
your tight-knit group, the tight-knit group, the ones that you know love you and you love them, because that's what I mean. When I did win that belt when I was 21, I had made, you've definitely had this in the past, major Klingons, people you think are friends, just with you. We call them Klingons, you know what I mean? Just hanging off your coattails, just with you to get into nightclubs and to be Paddy's mate, you know what I mean? Shit like that.
Yeah.
And at the time when you're with them, your actual mates and your fiance, and you're like, "What are you doing?" And your teammates in the gym, like, "What are you doing with them?" Sort of shit out. And you're like, "Oh, the sound, lad. What are you on about?" Know what I mean? The sound. And then a year passes or whatever passes, and you're like, "Fucking hell, they were right, weren't they?" They were just, when you lose a fight and then you're not getting messages, or you've lent someone money, or you fucking don't know, and they just don't want to get back on you, and you're just like, yeah, it's sound. You realise who the real ones are, lad, and that's why I'm so happy that happened when I was 21, when I was younger, when I won the world title on Cage Warriors. Because back then I got the opportunity, when I won the belt, I could have just went straight to the UFC and I would have had all them Klingons by my side. But I'm glad I never went to UFC, and I've defended the belt and then lost it after I defended it, because I wouldn't have had all the life lessons I've got now.
Yeah, dude, that's fantastic.
Do you still have better? We were still working with BetterHelp, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, the therapy's crucial.
So I mean, there's just no funding for it. I know there's none in the UK, and it'd be surprising if there was any for it in the US. You know what I mean? Like men's mental health. There's no funding for it in the UK at all.
There's no phone number?
Funding.
Oh.
Yeah.
There's no funding at all. Like, no.
Let's remember, too, that Paddy, was it the last fight, Jordan Levitt?
Yeah.
He says, "I'm going to submit him, and then I'm going to teabag him." You called that out ahead of time?
Yeah. I said I was going to knock him out or submit him and then teabag him. Just said I'm going to finish him. You know what I mean? I knew I was going to finish him. I did think more chance of it being a knockout, because he had good jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean?
He was...
Yeah, he's a legit black belt.
Fight, know what I mean? Yeah.
He's a legit black belt. But his striking defense was so weird. His striking defense is just like that until he grabs hold of you. And it was my own fault, as I said. I went into the fight very emotional. I was very overzealous. I was trying to take his head off with every punch I threw. So because I was trying to take his head off, it was easier for him to just pull me in and grab hold of me. You know what I mean?
And that was the same fight where 5 hours before your weigh-in, you received the news that you've lost your friend.
Yeah, one of my mates back home, Ricky, had killed himself, lad.
And dude, he goes from submitting Jordan Levitt to teabagging him, just like he said. and fucking dancing around, giving like the most stellar post-fight interview, and then just politely asking, do you mind if I have a few words? Not like grabbing the microphone like a douche like I would, you know, but like
2 hands.
Yeah, do you mind if I have a few words? And they just, of course. And then he just goes into this like wonderful, moving speech about how we have to remove the stigma of guys not being able to talk. He says, I'd rather my mate cry on my shoulder than be at his funeral the next week.
Yeah.
Like, we've got to start talking. And it was just the most fucking genuine, authentic, just moving, just beautiful shit that you couldn't, like, be trying to, like, put on to look good. You
And
know?
what kind of, where do you want to see the money go for the funding for mental health? Like, what needs to...
Well, I'll be honest, I'm no expert, lad. I'm
Yeah,
not.
you
I'm
just
not.
know that.
I just know that people need help because even in Liverpool, lad, Liverpool fits into San Diego like 8.5 times, and I know like more than 10 people who I know, not that I know directly or I know of, have killed themselves over like the past 10 years.
Yeah.
Like, it's just becoming more and more common. Like, it's normal, and it's not.
Yeah.
It's not normal, lad. People need to realise that. Like, split-second decisions
Right.
change lives.
Yeah, you
And
don't,
it's
like,
literally a split-second decision. And like, things that I've seen of people who have attempted suicide and have failed,
Survived,
they've
yeah.
always said, as soon as I started to do it, I was thinking to myself, what the fuck are you doing? I regretted it instantly. You know what I
Well,
mean?
what's crazy is like most people have these secrets that they think is the worst thing that's ever happened in their life, and then when you finally tell somebody, they're like, "I do that all the time."
Exactly.
Right.
What do you? What?
Yeah.
I did that 3 times last week.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
It's part of the 12 steps that you do a fear inventory. And that's where, like, you know,
Well, not even a fear inventory, but like all the harms you've done to others.
right, but there's harm done others, there's, you know, resentments that you have, and there's a fear inventory. And so, like, on your fear inventory, you have to write down, like, you know, everything that you're afraid of course. But the thing is, I remember when I was going through the process, I was thinking of like some secrets that I had, and I was like, man, I don't have to share this with anybody. It's not like anything that I'm resentful about. It's not to make me angry, you know. It's not like you know, it's not anything I'm really like afraid of. It's just like some weird shit I do.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know, you know. But then my next thought was, oh fuck, it's some weird shit I do that I would fucking never tell anyone because I'd be terrified of anybody finding it out.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized that by definition, a secret is something you're afraid someone will find out.
Yeah.
So in this process, you have to share all of your secrets. And that's when the rubber meets the road in the 12-step process of recovery. And what I did with my secrets at that point, I fucking went to my notebook and I wrote them in code, because heaven fucking forbid if anybody got their hands on my notebook and then they could read my fucking secrets. So I wrote them in code that only I would understand. And then I told my guy who I had to tell it to, I just made an appointment, and when the time came, I showed up and I was like, all right, dude, you know, fucking, it's like,
It's a big fucking deal.
it's a big deal. It's like what the bullfighting guy said. My buddy Ty, the bullfighter, he says, you're never ready to ride the bull. It just becomes your turn.
Yeah.
And that's what it
like
was. You know, I was never going to be ready to share those secrets, but it became time. You know, I scheduled the appointment. So I go and I was like, all right, here goes. And now the guy who I'm sharing this with, I'll just go ahead and say my sponsor, like he had told me, he goes, look, he had 8 years of sobriety at the time. He had told me, he goes, dude, look, you can tell me anything. Trust me, I've been doing this for years. I've heard it all. You're not going to tell me anything that I haven't fucking heard before. So just don't even worry about it. Just let it ride. So I show up with my fucking coded secrets, right? I sit down and I fucking tell him. And he sits there, listens to me, what I say. And he literally goes, ding, ding, ding. That I have not heard. and we just started fucking laughing. And this shit that like was like so terrifying to me that and when I wrote it in code at the top of the page, I had written "to the grave." Like this was my "to the grave" list.
Wow.
Yeah, I wrote the words "to the grave," dude. And here when I told my sponsor, we just started fucking laughing about how ridiculous it was. And like I felt like, wow, you know, like I had so much invested in that festering fucking fear, and it was just kind of released.
For sure.
It was released, and it was the most powerful thing.
You get a lot of guys you work with that like can't stay sober, and then like, you know, you go through things, and then you go through the steps and you work it, and then they relapse, and you're like, would you not tell me? And
Right.
like,
Yeah.
all right, I hooked up with a dude when I was 12. You know, it's like, and it's like, who cares? And then like from then on, they
Yeah.
They
seem to hold it together.
We have a book for our whole process, which is it's actually we call it the Big Book. And in the book it says, if you hold back a secret, if you don't share everything, you will drink again.
Yeah.
It says you'll drink it, like just black and white like that. And when I got done with this process with this sponsor guy, I finally came to. I said, okay, now I finally don't have anything else. And he says, all right, you are the first guy I've ever worked with in this process who I am not now asking. So, what are you holding back? He says, I know that you have not held back anything. I know. And he says, are you curious to know? And I'm like, what? And he said, 60. I'm like, 60 what? He goes, 60 hours we put into this process.
Really?
It was the gnarliest marathon fifth step. And I think he did a lot of rounding up. But yeah, I fucking, and that's why I think I'm still clean and sober today. Because I like that's when you've shared all of your secrets, when you've just like gotten it all out, that's when like you're no longer on defense, you know, like in the steps. Now like the obsession to drink and use is lifted, and you're no longer on defense. You move into the rest of the steps where you actually make all the things right from your past, and now you're on offense.
Yeah.
And like offense meaning that when you go through the second half of the steps, you're on fucking offense. Now you're winning. Now your life's getting good. And dude, I'm terrified to like not to deviate from this process because my life is so goddamn good.
Yeah. Nice stuff.
I think that clip was awesome, but not as awesome as my new book, A Hard Kick in the Nuts, What I've Learned from a Lifetime of Terrible Decisions, which is out September 27th, and if you pre-order it right now, you can get the autographed copy. So, get on it, man. Pre-order my book. It's not going to waste your time because I'm proven, dude. New York Times bestseller. My first book's 5-star rated on Amazon. And I have no doubt this one will be too. So get the autographed copy right now by pre-ordering it at stevo.com.
Yeah, dude.